Well, welcome to today's experience of Hope Starts Here. We are walking together as a Menlo Church community, as a family, on a journey towards Easter, because we want to be, in these days especially, very connected with our friend Jesus and very connected with each other. And I always start with a lighted candle as a reminder that He is the light of the world. And then He says that you and I can let our light shine. And it's going to take a moment or two to quiet our minds, our little monkey brains. So you might want to close your eyes for a moment and take in a deep breath. Breathe in hope. Breathe out fear. Breathe in strength. Breathe out despair. Our goal in these times is to see Jesus more clearly and to love Him more dearly and to follow Him more nearly. And so what we see in Him today is that Jesus is worthy. This is the great cry in Scripture. At the very end, the great worshiping cry of heaven is worthy, worthy, worthy is the Lamb. And in particular, what we see in John is He is worthy of our following Him. We're told in the Gospel of Mark at the beginning that one day Andrew and his brother Peter and then James and John are walking along and Jesus calls them and they follow Him. In the Gospel of John, we're told a little bit more detail about it. Andrew actually had been a follower of John the Baptist, and he heard about Jesus and he began to follow Jesus. And it says that Andrew, the first thing that he did was to find his brother Simon and tell him, "We have found the Messiah, that is the Christ." And he brought him to Jesus. And they decided, those early disciples, that Jesus, above all, was worthy of following because He had mastered life like no one who has ever lived. He simply knew about God and faith and fear and goodness and truth and love. He is worthy of following. It's very interesting with Andrew. He's one of those four. And as time passes, there are three disciples that Jesus has particularly deep experiences with. On the Mount of Transfiguration, Jesus is there with James and John and Peter. In the Garden of Gethsemane, just before His death, Jesus is there with James and John and Peter, not Andrew. We don't know why, the text never says. But Andrew never felt jealous. He was never envious. He never complained about being left out, because he found that Jesus was worthy of devoting his followership and did it his whole life long. Now, disciple is a word that doesn't get used a whole lot in our day. It simply means to be a student or a learner or an apprentice. An apprentice will follow someone who has mastered plumbing or whatever the craft or discipline. The craft that Jesus has mastered is the craft of life. He has mastered life. And we are all somebody's disciples. That is, we all must learn how to live from somebody. Initially our parents, and then maybe peers, maybe teachers, maybe the mass cultures, maybe ourselves. A key moment in your life will come when you ask, is there someone else, maybe someone better, that I should be an apprentice of? Dallas Willard, who taught philosophy at USC for many years, said people would sometimes ask him in surprise, "Are you a follower of Jesus Christ?" And his response would always be, "Whom else would you suggest?" If you know somebody better than Jesus to be a disciple of, then by all means follow Him. But the consistent testimony of human beings now for 2,000 years is He is worthy. He is worthy of our discipleship. And we love Him for this. And so today, follow Him. Today, seek to do the next right thing with Jesus right there beside you. And I'll see you again tomorrow.